Hey, this is Mark Rizzo, REMAX Welcome Home. This is episode 1 of Ask an Agent. We're here answering questions, helping walk you through the process of buying and selling real estate. So I wouldn't do anything big, nothing major, renovations of the kitchens, the bathrooms, things like that, unless you're thinking 5 or 10 years down the road. They don't make sense to do right off the bat. You're not gonna get the money back, you don't get the time, nor the aggravation, and you're guessing what the next person's gonna want, what their preferences are. What you really want to do is go back and fix the things that have been bothering you that you never got around to do, like the leaky faucets, the loose doorknobs, the window locks that don't line up. Fix those things because you want the next buyer to come in and see that the house was maintained. You don't want them to think that as the house got older, you just gave up on it, because that is a red flag for them. The next thing you want to do is declutter. Declutter like you're getting audited. Get rid of everything that you don't think is necessary anymore. We're trying to show off the house and what's staying with the house. So the features of the home, the layout, the kitchen counters, all that stuff. The porcelain collections that you have, the precious moments, the comic books, all that stuff's got to go. For multiple reasons. First off, you don't want anybody touching it. But secondly, it's not what's going to bring the buyer to your home. It's too specific and it's yours. What you want to show them is what they're going to get when they purchase the home. And then lastly, if you can, a coat of paint. You don't realize what it does, especially a nice neutral color. It just makes everything look pristine. It's like a fresh haircut. Everybody comes in, they see it, it's the first thing they notice, and it just heightens everything around it. You need to get a pre-approval immediately. Immediately. You wouldn't go to a restaurant without knowing if you had money in your wallet. So the big thing about the pre-approval is not only knowing what you can afford, but what does that equate to monthly? Because the bank will give you the big number, but what you need to know is what does that equate to monthly, because we don't budget 30 years at a clip. We budget 30 days at a clip, some of us less than that. So you need to know how that's gonna affect your life, because you're taking on a debt that's gonna be long-term. And when the bank does their pre-approvals, they just look at what's on your credit report. So they don't know your habits. So the debts that you have on there is different than what you like to do on a daily or weekly basis. If you like to go out for dinner, happy hours, that's not what the bank looks at. They look specifically at what you have on your credit report, where your debt is at. So when they give you that number and they say that number equates to this amount, you need to figure out, is that where I want to be at? And especially here in New Jersey, where you really have to worry about is, are they using the right estimate of taxes on there? Because the taxes in this state are going to affect you just as much as the mortgage payment, if not more. So you want to make sure that you get it immediately. You want to make sure that you wrap in the taxes, the insurance, everything on there, so you have a good snapshot of what your 30-day budget's going to look like. Outside of that, you really can't shop. That's a $1 million question. So it's really going to come down to your preference. But what I tell everybody is you have to be honest with yourself. So the big thing is figure out exactly what you want, figure out what you need, and they don't cross over. You've got to have some flexibility. You don't want to miss out on the house because it doesn't have the pot filler over the stove. But at the same time, if the backyard for your dog or the 2-car garage for your home brewery is like the thing that you want, then that's what you're going to want. You gotta remember that whatever investment you're making on this, even if it's only a 5 to 7 year span, which is the average buyer nowadays, it's still 5 to 7 years. That's a long time if you don't like where you're at. Recommend casting a big net in the beginning, really looking at location, neighborhoods, commutes, things like that, because at the end of the day, you can always make a house bigger, but changing the location is really difficult. I've been doing this for 20 years and I have yet to have a client who's picked their house up, put it on a flatbed and moved it somewhere else. And what I recommend is go see as many as you can, because at the end of the day, you don't truly know how the house fits you until you're inside of it. This is not something that you can browse for online. It's nice to look at the pictures, but you got to get inside. You got to feel it. This is a personal purchase. It's a massive purchase, but it's a personal purchase. Everybody wants the basement office until you get in there and realize that there's no natural light and you feel like you're in a prison cell. So you got to get inside it. You got to see it. You got to feel it. You want to be comfortable with the area and then go from there. And then once you kind of can dial it in, that's when you call me and we can be very specific. The inspections, I would say, never waive. I've had clients who have done it, but they're typically contractors, so they know what they're looking at. And even them, they're putting themselves at a disadvantage. You want to know what you're taking on. It's a massive purchase. As far as maybe dumbing down the inspection or limiting it is probably better words to say, like, hey, we're only going to do it for structural and environmental, safety issues. I mean, that'll let the seller know that you're not there to nitpick, which is better, because this really is all about presentation. The appraisal, on the other hand, it's similar. If you're getting a mortgage, you don't have the ability to actually waive the mortgage itself. Only the lender can do that. But what you could do is say, hey, I sold my house, or I've got a chunk of change I'm putting down. I'm willing to allocate some of that money towards the appraised value if it underappraises. And if you were purchasing a home or submitting an offer that's over asking price, then you may want to, because that's your choice to go above the asking price. Unfortunately, in this market, I think the stat still is about 101, 102% of list prices is where the houses are ending up. So they're looking for you to do that, It's just you don't want to fall in the trap of the money pit on inspections or coming out with way too much money out of pocket where you can't do the things that you want to do. So for me, every real estate transaction is going to be unique, and that's kind of a loaded question because I can't tell you exactly for each house how to make that work. But at the end of the day, I would say no, absolutely not. It's not something that you want to do. They're put in place for your protection. You are making the biggest purchase of your life up until that point. And it could be a 5-year, it could be a 10-year, 20-year, it could be a 30-year. I mean, this could be something you hand down from generation to generation. You want to know what you're getting yourself into. So to me, I would say absolutely not. But there are ways to change the verbiage a little bit and then present it so that the seller understands that, hey, like I'm serious, but I'm also not going to be stupid about this. So there's a lot of inspections that take place. You're going to have your general home inspection if you're the buyer. I recommend doing more. The home inspection is like a body scan, right? But you want to bring in the specialist, you want to bring in the sewer line guy, make sure that it's not clogged with I'm talking lots. You want to bring in the radon guy, you want to get a wood destroying insect report on there to like make sure that you know all of these things are in good condition. On the seller side, the inspections are basically just usually town or county, depending on what you have. If you have a septic system, a lot of times the county steps in and they have to do something there. The town will have their version of a CO or certificate of occupancy or continued certificate of occupancy. There's a smoke and fire cert that we get. So there's a lot of ones that are there. On the seller side, I recommend getting one before you put the house on the market, just to see what you're dealing with. A lot of people have lived in their home for 15, 20 years and may not notice that there's a problem. And when it comes up on the inspection, that they're shocked. So it's good to get that. On the buy side, again, like I said, you want to get as many inspections as you feel comfortable. I would opt for more than just a general inspection. Hey, if there's anything that I missed or anything that you want to go over in more detail, feel free to leave a comment below. We're gonna have a lot more of these coming out. Make sure you check back. Stay tuned.